are live. Hey, welcome everybody to this live interview that I'm doing with my client here, Marc. Very happy to have you here. Thank you for being here. So welcome back to the Inner Game. This is the #1 show to help men lose up to 40 pounds of belly fat in 90 days at home and without any equipment. Now, as you can tell by the title, for every comment we receive here, we will be donating $1 to the Ali Forney Center, where this foundation really focuses on helping the homeless youth in New York City, 40% of which are made up of the LGBT community. So again, there is no limit to the amount of comments that you can post. So I want to encourage you to comment down below. Let us know if you're tuning in live or if you're catching this at a later time. Comment replay that way. We know when this is reaching you. And please share this to your own social media. That way we can also help spread the message. So Marc, without further ado, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So let's start like this. I want you to just tell everybody a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and a little bit more about who you are in your story.
Okay. My name is Marc. I'm 60. I'm from Long Island. I am a professional marketing VP for a hospital, high stress job. I am a foodie. I garden for a hobby. I also, strangely enough, make candy for a hobby, cookies, things like that. But I have had to give some of that up, at least eating it, not making it, but yeah. But I am a perfectionist at practically everything I do. And the one thing that I could not do was lose weight. And it was killing me because I was outgrowing clothes faster than I could buy them. And so I needed to get help.
Love that. And just a fun fact for everybody, Marc actually designed the logo for the Fit Body Pride community and the Fit Body program, and also my Facebook banner. So Marc is a multi-talented individual, to say the least. So Marc, can you also just share a little bit about what you accomplished over the time period that we've worked together?
Yeah. So I lost 25 pounds in the first 3 months, and I could not believe it. My goal is to lose 40 pounds. And the 25 pounds in the 3 months, I couldn't believe how I did it, for one. But then I couldn't also believe that I did it. In 4 months now, I've lost 30 pounds. And, you know, I know that it sounds cliche, but I haven't felt this good about myself in years. So I have 10 more pounds to reach my goal, and that's not that far off. And given that I've already gotten 3/4 of the way there, I know I can do it. So
I love that. And I wanted to learn from you a little bit because you had even mentioned at some point you were considering getting a gastric bypass because you had tried so many things. And I'm just curious to know, what were some of those things? Like, where were you before you met me?
So yeah, working for a hospital and working with doctors all the time, it was challenging because they were telling me, this is how you lose weight, this way, this way, this way. And of course I was like, and I had tried different diets, low carb, keto, Atkins, South Beach, grapefruit diet, you name it, I had tried it. Nothing really stuck. And once I would quit, then I would go back to my original weight and more, which is terrible, but that's what happens. And when you are a foodie and you enjoy food and you love salt and fat and sweets too, you pile it all on and you get fat. So it was a challenge because none of these things had any lasting benefit for me. And I was at my wit's end. So then I was considering, what could I do? Would gastric banding, or did I need to do a bypass or whatever? And what I was finding is that in order to lose 40 pounds of weight, a band like lap band or whatever wasn't going to do it. And I was looking for non-surgical, but that just wasn't it didn't seem to be in the cards. So anyway, being that I market hospital services, that's one of the things that I knew a lot about. And I had several friends who had had this surgery, and with moderate success. Some of them it worked fine, others it did not. So that was a scary thing for me. And I really didn't want to alter my body if I didn't have to. So Irslan friended me on Facebook at one point, and I really didn't know who he was, but I started watching his feed. And the more I watched, the more intrigued I became, because I thought, well, if there's, I mean, it sounds a little too easy, but I thought that this could be something that could work.
I love that. And what was the thing that surprised you the most when we started working together, when you began losing this weight?
The thing that surprised me the most, well, he nearly killed me on the first night. No, no, but the thing that really surprised me the most, seriously, is that when I talked to Irslan about the program, my schedule is go into work early and stay late, and I didn't get enough sleep, and I have a whole host of things going. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to be able to spend to do this. And Irslan got it and said, okay, well, so can you do 30 minutes 3 nights a week? And I'm like, I can. I wasn't thinking that 30 minutes 3 nights a week would do it. But obviously I'm living proof that it does work. And but it was, it was a change. It was a change up. And then there was also accountability, which I had not had before, because Irslan is the first time I've ever used a trainer. So it all clicked. And I decided to, as I went through this, I decided this has got to work this time. I've got to do it. I've got to do it. And I would say that the number one thing that contributed to the weight loss this time was accountability, because there's accountability to the trainer. There's accountability, more importantly, to yourself. And until you figure out that self-accountability, you're probably not going to go anywhere with your weight loss, because that's where it has to start. It has to start within you. And then you have the accountability of the trainer, because you're doing your weekly weigh-ins and stuff like that. And you don't want to have a situation where it goes back up and then you're in trouble. Now, I say in trouble. The other good thing that I really liked about this is that when I was running into a situation where I would get stagnant with weight loss, then I would call Irslan and say, hey, what's happening? I need some direction. And I always got good direction, which put me right back on course. And that's part of what Irslan's theory is when you have a problem in losing weight, you don't run from me, you run to me, because that's the only way he's going to be able to help. And it has worked very well for me. The nice thing about it now is that 3-4 months in, people are starting to notice that I've lost weight. And people are saying, wow, what did you do to lose so much weight? Because it's people who haven't seen me in a few months or whatever. And so they're seeing the progress, and they're surprised, because when I tell them that I'm just doing 3 30-minute workouts a week, they're like, no. So it's surprising. And it works. I don't think that I would have had success with any other method but this, just because of the accountability factor, as I was saying, and the accountability factor to myself as far as the health problems that I was having. Because I went to my doctor last year, and he was saying, oh, well, you have to have a physical. And he was concerned because my resting heart rate was 95, which is high. It should be in the 70s. And I was bloated all the time, and my, I was working too hard. I wasn't getting enough sleep, all of this stuff. And so Irslan helped me put it all together, because once I started figuring out, tracking my food regularly and making a religious habit of it, it was very easy for me to see that I was eating way too much salt. My sodium levels were just out of control. I wasn't drinking enough water at all, and that has completely changed. And I'm not a big water drinker, and it's been hard for me to learn to drink it, but I have learned to drink it, and that has helped me so much. Reducing the sodium, reducing the fats, actually watching the way I'm eating and understanding what's happening with that eating to make it, to make the progress. So it's great. I mean, beforehand, I could go 2 flights of stairs up to my office and I would be winded, and I can do those 2 flights of stairs now like nothing. Get out of my car easily, in and out. I have a sports car, so it sits kind of low, and it's, that's just really nice little benefits of losing the weight. But I really appreciated the fact that I didn't have to go out and buy equipment. I didn't have to go do anything. I could do all of this, just in my home with the stuff I had.
I love that. I didn't know you had a sports car, by the way. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what, you were mentioning earlier that on the first night I almost killed you. There's a lot of truth to that. So like, what almost stopped you from doing this?
When I did my first workout, I was so out of shape. I mean, so out of shape that the first set that we did, which, we're talking 30 seconds, wasn't that much, but the first set that I did was like ridiculous. I was so winded. And Irslan is like, so what's your level? Where are you at right now? And it's like, what do you mean? And so he was giving me numeric levels. Well, I didn't know what to answer. And so I said, 6. He's like, no, it has to be higher. It has to be higher. And it took me no time to get to 10, because he was having me do all sorts of different exercises. And I told him, I was like, look, this is, I actually called him on the phone and said, I can't continue on this plan if this is how I have to do it. And what's the great thing about that is that he came back with saying, okay, here's how we're going to do it. If you can't do this, then I want you to try this. And that's the great thing about this plan, because it can be customized to you. And you can't say that about a lot of stuff.
I love that. And you've experienced quite like a external transformation, and you're explaining all these benefits that you've received from losing this weight. But I'm just curious, I like to ask this question. Did you possibly even experience any internal transformation? You said you're feeling better about yourself than you ever have. So if you have, I want to hear about that as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole mindset of being overweight is terrible for your self-esteem, and for the way, and in general, for the way you feel. Because when you get home at night, you're tireder than you have to be if you're overweight. You just are. It's fact of life. And I knew that, as I was getting older, this was getting worse, but nothing was, I wasn't doing anything about it. But the transformation from the outside started really changing the inside, because I was a lot more motivated. I felt a lot more comfortable with myself as I was starting to lose the weight and starting to get back into clothes that hadn't fit me in forever. And so it really has made me not only feel a lot better internally, because the diet actually changed the way, I think about food. And now, instead of going to bed every night bloated and uncomfortable, I go to bed and I go to sleep right away. I would wake up in the middle of the night before and I would be so uncomfortable. And it's because I had overeaten and too soon before bed and whatever, and bad foods, that's the thing. And so I just started subbing in the stuff that was recommended, and in no time, I was being, the problem is that I don't get enough sleep anyway. And and that was another bad thing that I was doing. And Irslan was like, okay, so your sleep hygiene is completely out of whack, and it has to change, because the sleep hygiene affects how you lose weight. I had never, ever heard that before from anybody. And it's absolutely true. Once I started concentrating on getting 7 hours of sleep or more, that made a huge difference. And also the consistency principle, it was a big deal too. Because one of the things that Irslan will teach you is that you have to be consistent. And that, and the food and the way I do things is all part of a whole consistent mantra that works really well.
Absolutely. I like to use that analogy of like this bird fell out of the tree and now it's like trying to flap its way back onto the nest. And like every action is a flap of the wing. And what happens is most people say, they get so close to the tree and they're like, this is too hard. And they go flapping down. But yeah, with that said, it sounded like it's, one thing that surprised me is you said you really stressed accountability. And I wouldn't have guessed that was a thing that was like huge for you. But I want to know, like, it sounds like accountability, but just what was your favorite part about working with me, and you're continuing to work with me now? Just what's your favorite part about working with me? I'm just curious.
Well, my favorite part about working with you is that you understand me, and but you also are very demanding and create the energy that I need to be able to make the thing work. And you're also, the other thing that I really enjoy is that you're willing to talk things through. It's not just, well, you needed to do this and that's it. You're willing to really customize the plan to me and make me feel like it's something I can do and really drive me to it. So that's what I'd say.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Mark. And what would you say was the top 2 to 3 things that helped you get to this weight loss goal? If you had to like say action items, let's give some value to the people listening in here today. Like if you had to say 2 to 3 things that helped you get to your weight loss goal, and continuing to get there, what would you say those 2 to 3 things are?
Sleep is a big one, because I was not getting enough sleep. I still don't get as much sleep as I'd like to, but I'm getting more sleep than I was, and it's been huge. What else? Thought went right out of my head. Really planning. I'd say that's the other thing, is probably meal planning. Diet planning is vital for this, for somebody who's working out like this, because it really, I had the ability to do it because I'm a cook already. And so it was something that I was just like, okay, I can do this. I know I can do this. But if I'm going to have something to take with me for lunch every day, then at the beginning of the week, I need to prepare stuff so that I can pull it out of the freezer or pull it out of the refrigerator and just go. And that has really helped me a lot, especially when I get home late in the evening, 7 o'clock, 7:30, and I need to eat then because I'm starving, number one, and number two, because I don't want to eat right before I go to bed. It just doesn't work well for me. So it's really been an exercise for me in planning my meals and knowing what I'm going to eat. And the whole consistency comes in there into play. But that's probably those things, those two things probably are the real foundation of what created the weight loss. Because if you're not willing to do those two things, then you got to reconsider.
Yeah, those are two huge nuggets, by the way. And just a side nugget that I want to add here is it sounded like you're eating after 7 p.m. How is it? Are you eating after 7 p.m. and you're losing weight? How is that possible?
I am eating. I have several nights a week where I have to eat after 7 p.m. And that was always a problem for me before. So I would, load up during the day so that if I was going to eat at night, I would just eat a little bit. But eating late is so bad for me because I have gastric reflux. And so it's not a good plan if I'm eating bad foods. However, eating the way I'm supposed to be eating, I've actually been able to eat, up until 8:30 and no problem because I'm eating the right stuff. And it's made a big difference. Big.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was obviously being facetious, but it's not always about eating after 7. Like this stuff is science, right? So it's about eating right, not just eating healthy.
Right.
So yeah, I guess the last question that I have for you is, what would you say to anybody who is maybe on the fence about working not only with me, but just hiring a coach and having a coach by their corner and just, working through a program like this? What would you say to someone that's on the fence about that, maybe a little hesitant?
It's interesting that you asked that question because, as I said, I have seen a lot of people who've had coaches to do this, to lose weight, to do whatever, who haven't been successful ultimately. And I think that the difference here and why you should choose Irslan is that, first of all, you have somebody who's really interested in you and really interested in you attaining your goals. But you have to work at it and you have to do your part to do those workouts and to really watch your food. And I felt like the concern and the care was definitely there, and that helped me feel like I was, my opinion was valued, and that I had a say in my own weight loss. That's not something that I could say about every trainer or experience that I've had with guys who've had trainers. And if you think that you can't do something, then you won't do it. And if you just give it a chance, you will see that you could do it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Well, I appreciate that so much. And I just want to ask, is there any last second comments or thoughts that you wanted to add? Maybe some questions that I didn't ask that you were hoping I would have?
Can't really think of much. I think that as I said, I'll swear by the program. I just can't thank you enough for helping me do this, because it was something that I had not been able to do before, and I still can't even believe now that I've done it. But the other thing is that as I've progressed and as as I've gotten more lean, I'm actually less hungry all the time. I'm balanced during the day, which is a big deal because that was when I would be the worst at snacking, and having a job with super high stress requires crunchy all the time. And I was crunching on the wrong things. And so I learned a lot nutritionally about this, even though I thought I knew a lot of things about nutrition. Or really taught me, because my mother was a nurse. And so that, had that to go from, but it all crystallized when I signed up for FHIT training. It all came together.
Awesome.
I can't tell people enough about the fact, because people will say, how did you do it? And I will tell them, and they just are like, really? How do you do that with no equipment? It's like, yeah, exactly. You can do it. It's just, you got to know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's it. Yep. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate all the kind words.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you so much too, for everything that you add to the community, everything that you've done for me personally with my banner, my logo. I love it. My clients love it. My community loves it. We love you. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone watching. And again, we are donating $1 per comment here to the Ali Forney Center. So there are no limits to the amount of comments that you can leave. Please share this onto your own social media, onto Facebook. Help spread the message. That way we can really maximize the amount of comments coming in. And again, we'll be donating up to $1,000 with the receipt attached. So I hope you found this valuable. I hope you found this just fun to watch and entertaining. And if you did, again, just let us know what you took away, what your biggest takeaway was. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Mark, for being here. And we will see you in our next video.
Thanks very much, Irslan, and thank you for the donation to the Ali Forney Center.
Absolutely, my man. All right, guys. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks.